Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Star Trek New Worlds. My name is Tony. Thank you for joining us live. If you're catching us live today on Twitch, Facebook, and here on YouTube, yes, it's been a couple weeks, and there's a lot going on. I'll tell you why in just a second. If you're brand new here and you don't know what this is, Star Trek New Worlds is a turn-based strategy game that we play here online with you. We play it using the rule set of Federation and Empire as published by the Amarillo Design Bureau, and we produce the map with the magic of Vassal. You'll see that in a moment. But before we get going into what's going on here, the highlight that you may have picked up from our thumbnail is Total War. It's happened. It started. It's getting going, and I don't want to keep you in suspense any longer. Let's go straight to the galactic news. Homecoming. This year saw another strong push from the Romulans at the Klingon Homeworlds. Klingon defense reserves were called up, and a pitched battle took place over the world of Kadrak. Eventually, Romulan fleets were pushed back, and the Homeworlds were secure once more. It seems that the Klingons have taken the threat of their core systems seriously, as they have shifted massive resources from the Balkans to their home territory. This leaves the Balkans vulnerable, but allowed them to recapture much lost territory, and makes the Homeworlds all but unassailable. Dogs of War. After enduring their own homeworld defense, the Carnivons have resurged and pushed back through the wormhole, establishing a foothold again at the Gorn Romulan border. Pushing back a combined Gorn Tholian force, they retook the wormhole and have established a perimeter around it. Are they setting up a more permanent defense, or is this the opening stage of an invasion? The web grows. As the Klingons pull all of their strength to defend their home territory, the Tholians have wasted no time in taking advantage of the situation. Racing into the area known as the Balkans, they quickly captured all three worlds of the former Hunter's Pride Empire. Will they be able to establish dominance over these worlds, or will their former masters return to reclaim what they left behind? Plans within plans. In the far southwest of the galaxy, a Gorn exploration fleet followed a warp trace left by repeated raider attacks. Finally breaking through to the edge of the galaxy, they stumbled upon something unexpected. Contact was lost with the fleet as it entered the sector, but some of the signal they were broadcasting has been decrypted by Galaxy Today's analysts.
Juggernauts? Out this far? Lieutenant, are we broadcasting? Is this transmission getting the size of this station? Sensors picking gravity. Oh, traces.
Our contacts within the Gorn High Command tell us that some remnants of the fleet have encountered this new Juggernaut presence. Some of the... let's try that again. Our contacts within the Gorn High Command tell us that some remnants of the fleet that encountered this new Juggernaut presence have survived. But more information is hard to come by as national security measures clamp down. Do the Juggernauts have some connection with the mysterious raiders from the edge of the galaxy? Are the empires being outflanked while they fight their endless wars amongst themselves? We fear that time will tell. How deep the rabbit hole goes, a new force joins in the galaxy-wide war as the ISC invades Tholian space through the wormhole in Sector Sierra 25. Dozens of ISC ships have plunged into the space tunnel connecting the two empires and gone on the offensive. Is this a warning shot across the Tholian bow? Is this a message being sent? Or are we seeing the beginnings of a full-scale invasion? For now, the ISC government is saying nothing to assuage our curiosity. And that is the galactic news. Oh, that stinger going back and forth seemed a little jittery there. Oh, well, I have to figure out what's going on there. Let's try that transition one more time. Let's just see what happens. Seems nice and sweet there. I don't know what's going on. Anywho, welcome everybody to today's exciting episode of Star Trek New Worlds. As you saw there today, there is conflict across the galaxy. Things are going crazy, and fights are still going on. To give you a quick recap as to why it took so long, 2 weeks before we were able to get back on track here with our latest episode, there were a total of 22 battles that took place over the process of this turn. You will see when we go to the map here in just a moment that there is still some battle. There are battles still to be resolved, and all that work means that because of all the processing that was involved, it just took so long to be able to get turns processed. As you may or may not be aware, when we run these games, we have we're sending emails back and forth, and normally if this was a tabletop experience, you would be doing it in real life live. But because we have to have this lag time between players, and we have players in Australia, in the UK, in North America, there's lag time in between when we send the emails and when they can respond with their various instructions for their various orders. And so it just takes time to work through this. And of course, this is a turn-based game, which means each player goes sequentially. At the moment, I believe it's the Romulans, then the Klingons, then the Gorn and the Tholians together, and then the ISC and the Remans, and so that progression just takes a while to get through. And of course, with all the conflict that's going on between the Romulans and the Klingons, there's just a lot to get through. So our heroic GM Daniel has been powering through all that bit by bit. But yeah, that's where we're at. That's how things are going, and that's why it's taking so long. So I do apologize that that it took 2 weeks to get to where we are, but here we are. Let's jump into the map, and let me pull up the fleet cap and the EP so it's ready for you. All right, here we go. Let's jump into the map. All right, so there's some exciting stuff already going on. Let's talk about EP to start off with, and then we'll discuss fleet cap. So EP, the Carnarvon are currently sitting at 54.5 EP. The Gorn lost 1 EP. They're down to 65. The ISC are at 68.5. Ooh, that's a good number. The Klingons are down significantly to 71.5. The Remans ruling high on the roost at 81.5, but they are still not number one. No. In conjunction with their Romulan allies, Romulans being at 60.5 EP. The Tholians are at 84.5, probably because they stole a bunch of Klingon resources. Curses. Let's jump into fleet cap. So right now you can see the Carnarvon have 113 ships total, with a total of 429 attack factor, 551 defense. The Gorn floating with 133 ships in their fleet. They have 386 attack, 572 defense. The ISC with 138 ships in their fleet, 526 total attack factors, wow, and 683 defense. The Klingons, ever so steadily losing ships after losing ships. They are only at 103 ships in their fleet, still with 420 total attack factors, 478. The Remans are at a total of 180 ships in their fleet. Wow. 687 their attack factors, with 761 defense. The Romulans, 78 ships left in their fleet with 276 attack, 412 defense. The Tholians with 178, just shy of that Reman number. 178 with 509 attack factors, 799 defense. The Tholians are really kicking it up, that is for sure. Okay, let's talk about what's going on in the Balkans. Let's start off there. I will slide my head to the other side. Whoop. And let's zoom in and see what's going on. Okay, So as we've talked about before, this is the Lyran pocket. This has been the focal point for many a conflict between the Carnarvon and the Gorn. What do we see here now? We see a slight consolidation of forces here in the top left corner of the Lyran pocket. We can see we've got Emerald Fleet and Topaz Fleet from the Carnarvon. Let's take a quick peek. Emerald and Topaz. Boom. So these two fleets combined, you can see here, they have two YDNs, one Carnarvon, one left over from the Hydran Carnarvon Alliance. We have a YCC, YCA, YCL, and a bunch, 5 of them, drone bombardment cruisers. We have a total of 3 M-era cruisers, 3 M-era light cruisers, and 11 M-era frigates in Topaz Fleet, along with a scout and a couple prime teams. So nothing for sure here, sitting there with a YFF securing Chofak. When we look down on the Gorn side, we've got Hammer and Mobile Fleet. Let's pull those bad boys up. Named fleets. Whoop. All right, so Hammer Fleet and Mobile Fleet, correct? Whoops, let's get that out of the way. Hammer and Mobile. Okay. So Hammer and Mobile, you'll see Mobile's in the top here. You've got a total of 3 M-era cruisers, 6/8s for the Gorn, 5 light M-era cruisers, a total of 11 DDMs, 3 YDDs, and a scout. And then, of course, there's Hammer Fleet. So adding to that is 2 additional M-era cruisers, a total of 4 M-era cruisers. Why do we not stack these guys together? So a total of 4 M-era cruisers plus the previous 3. That gives us a total of 7. We've also got a light cruiser of the M-era variety, another 10 DDMs, one of them being crippled, another scout, and of course prime team. So there's quite a bit there sitting there on this base, this now being upgraded to a YDK, with an additional CAM sitting there with 2 more DDMs. So there's quite a force sitting here protecting this YDK. And let's not forget about our good friends, the Romulans, with Pegasus and Triton Fleet. What are they doing? Well, Pegasus Fleet, boom, 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 boop. Pegasus Fleet is on the bottom here. You can see it's got 2 D7s. They've got K7RMs, which are just straight 7 ships. They've got their 2 Maulers here, the KRMMs, 10 9s. You've got a total of 6 K5Ms and a total of 9 K4Ms. These are the E4M equivalents. Then we've also got a Triton Fleet. Come on, Remans. Give me a little Triton. Yeah. Ooh. Brutal. Look at this. We've got 10 Maulers in this fleet, combined with another 4 supporting M-era cruisers, the KRM. They're like the D6 equivalent. You've got a command cruiser from the Y-era, another 4 Y-era cruisers, the KD4+. You've got a couple of destroyers from the Y-era, 8 of them, K4 pluses. You've got 10 K4Ms, so those are the M-era super frigates, and then a KE2+, which is the Y-era frigate there. You've also got a tug sitting here, M-era tug, with an admiral and a prime team. So these fleets certainly are more than enough to be able to step in and do something. Whoa! Ladies and gentlemen, a coffee has been fired. I didn't even talk about coffee before we got started. I will recognize and jump into that in just a momento. Let me finish off with this, and then we'll slide back to the chat and say hello to everybody in the chitty chat. Okay, so that's our trifecta there on the Lyran capital. We've got the Carnarvons in the top left, or top left. We've got the Remans in the top right, and then we've got the Gorn here down below, all sort of balancing themselves out in this little Lyran pocket. So there's more to come, but let me jump into the chat. All right, everybody, let's say hello. Quick celebration to the Juggernauts and their firing of that caffeinated goodness. Ooh, oh yeah. So if you're joining us for the first time, you're catching us on the replay and saying, whoa, Tony, what's this coffee all about? See that QR code between me and the chat? You can take your phone and go boop, and it will send you to that link down below. support us at coffee.com/New Worlds. Head over there and you can fire us a coffee like the Juggernauts just did. A little $5 coffee donation will help us in keeping this guy stimulated and motivated, and giving you the high energy impact news that you're looking for when it comes to this campaign, and of course just helping us support create this sort of exciting game as we're moving along forward. You could be also like Jose Valente down there and be a subscriber, helping us get towards that magic number of 500 subscribers, which is our goal. We're currently at 329, looking to gradually get our way forward, unlock the community tab, and then be able to share the news and exciting stuff that's going on with the channel as we go. Of course, as you make coffee donations, you will see during the live stream, you will see that green bar down below me move its way over to the far corner. And our goal today is 3 trifecta coffees for the live stream. But let's say hi to everybody in the chitty chat as we are getting going. So we've got Bill Smith, who is our Gorn player in the house. You Can't Be Petty is here. Hoorah! Looking forward to the stream today. Yeah. Paul, our ISC player, is ready to rock. Of course, we have the Juggernauts being fired. The Daniel, who was our GM, also our Juggernauts. Pew pew, firing away. There we go. Hello. Drying off now. Turns out kayaks tip over very easy. Yes, they do. Yes, our GM was doing a little kayaking this morning and got a little wet. So exciting and delighting. Okay, sorry, the ISC are at war and can't be contacted at the moment. Please leave a message after the tone. Pew pew. All right. Well, let's jump into the map and let's talk about the atrocity that is the Klingon Balkan situation. Oh my god. So as you can see here, as we focus on this area right here, all this red, what is going on? The bugger lugs. So the Tholians have engaged in a very opportunistic activity, which I perfectly applaud them for, and I am so upset about. They jumped in here and took 1, 2, 3 planets, colonies, 2 colonies, and a minor planet. When I moved things out of there to be able to help sort of defend the Klingon Homeworld. Back in those days when I was in the Navy, we used to have this saying, first incoming missile, meaning that you had to deal with the first incoming missile and then you sort of build the bubble out. As we will see here shortly, the Klingon Homeworld has been assaulted not once but twice in the recent turns, and the Romulan war is the first incoming missile. The existential threat. If we don't deal with the Romulans and sort that business out, then the Balkans don't matter. And while the Balkans are wonderful and certainly pad the coffers, it's a nice to have, not a need to have, and so we needed to move things out of there to be able to make stuff happen. As you can see here, however, we've got quite a bit of business going on here with the Tholians moving in and taking territory. Not only that, but the Gorn have also decided to get in on the action, moving Strike Fleet into this area here. Now, Strike Fleet is particularly interesting because technically they're out of supply unless they're being supplied by the Tholians through homeless or expeditionary fleet means, which are just aspects of the rules. So based on their movement up to now, I was anticipating that they were out of supply. And the idea was that they were going to be used to be able to pin ships that I had sort of in this area previously, allowing the Tholians to rush in. Now, because I redeployed a bunch of ships, you can see that the Tholians have rushed in and have done exactly what they wanted to do, claiming all the territory that they've taken. Very frustrating, very irritating. Goodness gracious me. But the Tholians have sort of taken advantage of the situation, and as a result have sort of triggered the Article 5 sort of NATO agreement within the four powers, and well, the ISC have rolled through the wormhole and are engaging in a war or a battle right now. Now, as I was mentioning, 22 different battles occurred over this past turn, and you can see here that there is a currently unresolved battle between 2nd Fleet, a Tholian YDK, and Truth, Order, Providence, 5th Fleet, and a Scout. So let's just take a quick look at these bad boys, and we will compare. Maybe I'll put that there. And then 2nd Fleet. We'll put the Tholian 2nd Fleet over my head just so you can get a sense of what is going on here. Whoop. All right, so Tholians are defending their YDK with a CM cruiser, M-era cruiser, total of 6 M-era destroyers, 6 patrol craft, which are like their M-era light frigates, and then 2 Y-era cruisers. The Tholians are coming through the wormhole with Truth, Order, Providence, and Fifth Fleet. So let's add Fifth Fleet to the ISC list here. And then so Truth, Providence, what was the other one? Oh, so the bottom 3 here. Perfect. So we have a YCA, a YCC, 2 YCCs and 2 YCAs, excuse me. A total of 4 plus 3 plus 6. 4 plus 3 plus 6. The 13 YCLs. YCLs are a great ship for the ISC. They are 4 attack, 5 defense. Great little ships. We also have another scout in here, and then some destroyers supporting. These are all Y ships. 5 destroyers and a commando cruiser, as well as a YDN acting as the command ship. But they're not alone. They're being supported by Fifth Fleet, which is basically a whole bunch of M ships. We have a total of 9 M-era frigates, 1 light cruiser, 1 heavy cruiser, which is the CAM, and then 2 of these commando light cruisers, which are straight 6s, which is very interesting. Straight 6s with a G factor. Interesting. There'll be G factors will be an interesting way to use, or interesting thing to use against the YDK, because you can do SIDS damage using basically the G factors assaulting the base. There's a way to do that. It'll be very interesting to see how that works. So basically you have a total of, what is this? 6, 6, and 3. So we've got a total of 15 ships defending against, dear God, 1, 2, 3, 9, 10, 11, 12, 15, 21, 25. Oh, and there's a tug there too. 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, and 39 ships. I have a feeling the ISC are going to win this. However, because this is a wormhole battle, and when they come through the wormhole, there's a bunch of stuff that happens, it would be very interesting to see, perhaps our GM can illustrate for us once this battle occurs, how things go through the wormhole and how that battle resolves, because it'll be very exciting to see what ends up happening. So this battle, one of the things that's particularly interesting about this is you will notice there's nothing around it. No ships, no nothing. All the Tholian fleet assets have been redeployed to other places. And so there's this big pocket of nothingness here. Of course, the Tholians have spent all their time and energy focusing on me. Hi there. And the ISC are going to rape and pillage as they plow through this tear in space and time. Now, there is also the November wormhole, which is another exciting thing, which is right over here. And this November wormhole has got, oh, look at all these ships coming from this end. There's a bunch of ships coming from this end. And then, of course, you've got Acropolis, Athena, Pacific. There's a whole bunch of business going on from all sorts of different players near the November wormhole. So that's exciting to see. One might say that total war has broken out across the galaxy, as every single faction, with the exception of the Romulans at this point, is engaged in war status and battles against other players. So very interesting to see. Let's scroll down and see what the Gorn are going up to. We talked about the Carnivon coming through the wormhole. You can see that right here. They have home fleet sitting on top of that wormhole with a tug. Well, let's take a look at the Carnivon home fleet. What do we got? Oh, look at that. 2 crippled light cruisers and everything else is fully abled and ready to go. That's a total of 8 cruisers. Bang. 4 YDNs, 2 command cruisers. Nice. 5 destroyers, a total of 8 frigates and a scout. Notice how all their ships, except for the frigates, the M-era frigates, have the heel nipper. The heel nipper, just as a quick reminder, is a 1-point Mauler-like weapon. What it allows the player to do is for every N, or heel nipper equipped in the battle force, you can use 1 point of directed damage against a target. There's a minimum burr involved. And once the minimum burr has been reached, then you can use the heel nipper because you got to get in close to be able to do this. But if you generate 10 points of damage and you have 10 ships in your battle force that have the heel nipper, you can do 10 points of directed damage against a specific target. Not formation bonus. There's still issues around that. But as far as like 2-to-1 versus 3-to-1, but you can use that 1-to-1 directed damage, which is incredibly useful, especially when you're trying to take out specific kind of targets. And then, of course, the rest of the damage is spread out over the rest of the battle force, and that's going to be tough to deal with. What do we got here? We've got 2 patrol craft, a cruiser, destroyer, scout. So we've got a very small force with the exception of 5th Fleet. Let's take a look at what Gorn 5th Fleet have there. Cruiser, light cruiser, and 9 DDMs. So I have a feeling the Gorn are going to walk through this wormhole next turn and take what's on the other side. Not a big surprise, but the Gorn are certainly flexing their military muscle. This was one of the things we were sort of worried about when it came to the Gorn. As they got later and later in their tech tree, they become ever more imposing a force. We can also see that they've got home fleet sitting here along with a couple of sort of museum relics ready to fight back. Home fleet, let's take a look at Gorn home fleet. We got a cruiser, light cruiser, total of 6 DDMs and a scout. Well, this is going to be interesting. There's not much there defending that YDK and that base. And then, of course, you've got very little defending this one. So if the Carnivon were so inclined, they have the capacity to be able to cause some significant damage to some folks in this area. We'll have to see what that looks like as far as what kind of damage they're able to do. But as you can see, the Gorn have redistributed their assets to the surrounding bases and are looking to repair. Interesting to note, let's take a look what it takes to repair a DDM. A DDM is a 2-point repair, so it takes 2 points, which is what a YBS can repair, and it costs 1 EP to be able to repair that. So that's exciting, delighting, very interesting to see. This in the bottom left corner here, you can see this is the juggernaut thing that we were talking about. And what do we got? We've got just behave there. Okay, we've got a starbase with 36 attack and defense, 2 auxiliary battle cruisers, 9 each, and a convoy, which I believe is not actually a convoy, but more like a swarm of AI bots that are providing a supply and building capacity in that area. So that's very interesting to see that happening there. A potential threat for the Gorn for sure. We'll have to see how that evolves over time. Interesting. But that's what the sort of the battlefront is looking like here. Also interesting to note, look at all the cripples on the Romulan side. Oh, my heart is warm. Look at Lasath Fleet making its way down there. Let's just take a quick look at what's going on with Lasath Fleet. Lasath Fleet is the second one here. Oh, look at that. Heavy assault dreadnought, 2 light cruisers, total of 4 destroyers and 6 frigates. It would be a shame, dommage, terrible, should the should that wonderful fleet of AI killer bots decide to attack and destroy and liberate or otherwise cripple what's going on here on Sona. So that would be a shame, wouldn't it? I'm a little excited about that. How about you? You let me know what you're thinking on that note. All right. I got a bunch of ships that are crippled and it looks like they're going to try and be repaired here. SNBs, Y Falcons. Y Falcons, by the way, the Falcon is the Mauler for the Romulans, so the YFAL is the Y era Falcon. You've got this one getting repaired right there. Interesting to note. That is not what I ordered that ship to do. I'll have to talk to the... That's interesting. Okay. It would seem... Oh, looks like there's a leftover battle hex. Let's move this over here. So this is where a whole bunch of business was going on here. And you can see here that we've got... so there were some ships defending this YFB, which is the Y era My goodness, why can't the brain tug? Thank you. Crippled BM Battlehawk here. We've got a battle cruiser with a E4M sitting there. We've got a battle hex that happened here. What do we got? What do we got? So this was a hex that happened. Okay. Interesting. Sorry, I'm just looking and trying to understand what I'm seeing here, because the map is, for all intents and purposes, complete, except for sort of like the odd battle that's getting sorted out. But this battle hex should have been resolved. So the only thing that should be here is home fleet. So let's just look at Romulan home fleet. Wherever you are, Romulan home fleet. Okay, so it's just 2 ships plus this stack. So we've got, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to take this whole stack, put it in here, just to make it easier for us to see. So we're going to stack these guys on top of each other. There we go. This is a King Eagle. We got a prime team and another prime team, and PE, which is a Pelican, which is a survey ship. We've got a frigate. What's this? This is a Snipe B. Snipe B. We're going to get rid of that guy. Delete the battle hex and home fleet. Okay, so what do we got here in home fleet? We've got 2 King Eagles, Pelican, 2 Pelicans. Put that there. Right. Okay, so this maybe makes it a little bit easier to figure out what's going on here. Okay, so what do we got? We've got 3 Vultures, 2 King Eagles, 3 Snipe Bs, a Snipe A, a Scout, and 2 Pelican Eagles here. Now these ships are, I mean, that's not nothing. That's a pretty good force. You've got basically little or nothing going on here. There's going to be probably a battle there in a memento, which will result in some death and destruction. Excuse me. And then, like you say, you've got this bit of a stack going on here. We'll go over what's stacked on the homeworld there in a moment. We've got D7, D6, Emperor Fleet, and Battle Group Blood there. There was a couple things that coulda, shoulda, woulda happened, but obviously didn't, which is, so I'll just discuss that with the GM. I'm sure I'm not the only player who's like, what the heck? That's probably one of the things that's funny when you write these contingency orders, or you sort of write these orders in the dark. You have to anticipate either how they're going to be interpreted and or what the other player is going to do. And of course, not everything that you plan to do happens, or as a reaction you plan to react happens. So it's you have to build in the flexibility for unknown things to happen or unknown outcomes to occur. That's just the way the story, that's just the way the cookie crumbles when it comes to that. So we'll see how that goes. So what do we got going on here? We've got Romulan ship has taken over this planet over here. Interesting. We've got interesting. Okay, a bunch of crippled ships. There's obviously this there's a Queen Eagle, a King Eagle, and a tug that is going to provide extended supply because they have a base, which I'm assuming is complete there now. 116 Spring. 116 Spring. It may be complete this turn, which will provide extended supply there. And then, of course, you've got a bunch of Klingon ships doing their business out and about here. Interesting. A wonderful little amoeba. Oh, sorry. I should probably move my head because my head is in the way. Stand by. Let me just switch sides here. You'll notice that there's a little amoeba here. Very nice to see. Wonderful. Love it when a monster shows up unexpectedly, undesired, and what have you. Good times. And Oh, we have First Legion. Let's take a look at what First Legion is. Romulan Legion First. That's a big fleet. A scout and a vulture. As you can see, that scout and vulture is out of supply. They're going to have some problems in the coming turns. So we'll have to see what ends up happening there. And then, of course, you've got this huge stack, which is so big I can't even describe it, on top of the homeworld. Let's just see if we can ever so slightly understand what's there. I'm trying to see. Okay. Big ticket ships. We've got a C6. So the C6 was built this turn for the Klingon. C6 is their escort dreadnought. It is a 10 attack, 12 defense ship, command factor 10. It's sort of the big gun of the middle to late M era for the Klingons. You also have, so there's a C6, a D7, a battle tug, tug being a tug, TGA with 2 battle pods. There's another crippled tug with 2 battle pods, but it's crippled. There's a B4B there. What else we got there for as far as big ships? That's pretty much it. So 2 battle tugs, 1 crippled, 1 not. A dreadnought and a battle cruiser. Then you've got a slew of F5Cs, which are the basically destroyer hull, but like a light cruiser. They're 5-6 ships. We've got a total of 1, 2, 3. I'm only going to count the non-crippled ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 F5Cs. We've also got a bunch of F5s there, not counting the crippled ones, because there's a couple crippled ones there. 1, 2, 3. So hard to see them all. 4, 5. I think there's only 6. Sorry, 6. And then there's a bunch of E4Ms there as well. 1. Oh my goodness, can't even see all these guys. 1, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7. And then there's a bunch of scouts as well. I think there's 2 or 3 of them as well. So big story is that there's a lot of stuff there. Is that fair? Yeah, there's a lot of stuff there. It's a big bunch of stuff. And so that big bunch of stuff is defending the homeworld because, well, the homeworld's been attacked a couple times and I'm kind of tired of it. We've also got a bunch of ships here that are going to get repaired at the YDK. So we got a bunch of E4Ms. E4Ms are 1-point repairs. So I think there's a total of 8 ships there. We'll see there in a second. No, there's 9 ships there. So we can repair 8 of them in one go, and then we'll go from there. Got a bunch of F5s here. And then, of course, a couple little ships that are guarding the wormhole, because, of course, the Tholians are probably going to go through that anytime now. And then, of course, we've got some ships here as well. Notice the large auxiliary cruiser and large auxiliary cruiser and an auxiliary cruiser that are slowly creeping up. These are ships that probably are coming from a base in and around this area, which is probably going to be tied into what the Gorn are dealing with over in their corner as well. So it's just so nice to see so much sharing of the wealth. Amoebas, I mean, we've got amoebas. The Romulans have the juggernauts. We've got we'll call them the juggernaut, the junior juggernauts coming up from the south. And then, of course, we've got the Romulans that we're dealing with. Just such wonderful, wonderful playmates to have. Let's see what's in 4th Legion here. Look, there's 4th Legion and Expeditionary Fleet. Let's take a look. What is Expeditionary? Is it really? Well, let's start with 4th Legion. And so it's relatively small. And then there's Expeditionary Fleet. So I want to say Expeditionary Reserve. Okay. All right, so we got Expeditionary, 4th, and then 2 KEMs and a Vulture. So we've got a total of 2, 3, 4 Queen Eagles. Sorry, 3 Queen Eagles, 2 King Eagles, 2 War Eagles, a tug, probably to provide extended supply, and a Pelican Eagle, and of course a Vulture. So there's a reasonable amount of ships there that are just kind of like sitting there parking themselves. And then, of course, you've got a bunch of ships. Ooh, 7th and 3rd Legion. Let's take a look. Romulan 7th Legion is a War Eagle and a frigate. And 3rd Legion is, what is this? 3 King Eagles, 3 Battle Hawks. Okay. So there's quite a collection of stuff here that's sort of like trying to defend their homeworld to a certain degree, and then basically chaff that they're putting in the way. That's good stuff. Good times. All exciting stuff. Very excited to see all this appearing in the way that it's appearing. I have a feeling the Romulans are going to do a certain number of things to make my life exciting and delighting. And we'll see what happens. The exciting Romulan Klingon war is just heating up. And of course, the Tholian introduction into the Balkans is just making things even more entertaining, shall we say. But let's not waste all our time on the Klingons. Let's take a second and jump into the chat and see what you guys are saying about what's going on. All right. So after the coffee was fired, speaking of which, coffee, let's have a quick sip. Oh, yeah. All right. Bill says, hey, Daniel, you done kayaking? Yes, drying off now. Turns out kayaks tip over very easily. Yes, they do. Klingon Romulan, you mean, sir? Bill says. I'm not sure what he means. That's the deal, dude. Echo 45 is where the fight happened. Echo 45. What are we talking about here? Echo 45 is where the fight happened. Romulans pursued, so could not retreat. So the hex is resolved. Okay, so I would imagine those ships retreated out of that hex and are either in Delta 44, Delta 45, or that would make sense. So I'm assuming they're in a slightly different location. That's okay. We'll get an updated map from the GM. Enjoying the show? Give a thumbs up, George says. George Forknell, yes. If you, we're in double digits, of course. Thank you very much for giving us double digits of this live stream. If you are liking what's going on here, then please hit that thumbs up button. Tickle the YouTube algorithm in just the right way. Let us know what's going on. That you like what's happening here and that you want it to keep on happening. More people to know about it. So boom, boom, boom. And with a capital having 3 planets, can you build 3 YDKs or only 1 per hex? You can build 3 YDKs. You can build a base over each planet. So there's lots of opportunity there. Nope, 3 if you can look at the Klingon Homeworld sector. Yeah, you can build multiple bases in the same hex on the same planet. There's just rules around that. But when it comes to the capital hex, each planet's its own spot, and so you can have a base on each planet, by example. But you can also have multiple bases on a planet, like the Klingon Homeworld does. And let's just take a quick look at the Klingon capital here. Let's slide on over. You can see here the Klingon capital. We've got on their home planet, you've got a YDK and a YBS. So 2 bases there. And, of course, no star docks or star bases on top of the other 2 planets there as well. So just an example of what can be done. There's lots of options, all sorts of different ways to slice this pie. So exciting and delighting. Interesting. Okay, so we shall see what happens next when it comes to the Klingons. But now let's slide over to the Klingon map and see what they have got going on. All right, so you can see in the bottom of the Klingon map, we've got an auxiliary cruiser making its way up, a drone bombardment, 2 drone bombardment cruisers with a frigate sitting on the planet, probably waiting to go out there and pound the Jesus out of that thing. We've got quite the stack on the homeworld. We've got Diamond Fleet, Klingon Diamond Fleet. What do we got in Diamante? Okay, so just 2 light cruisers there, so nothing too exciting. But we do have a stack of crippled ships that will undoubtedly be repaired. And then, of course, whatever their new builds are. The Klingon are the first on the initiative, so they go first. Let's confirm that. I believe they are. Let's just see here. Klingon have 54 EP, and the Romulans have 60. Yep. So as of right now, Klingon go first, then the Roms, then the Klingons, then the Gorn, and the Tholians, then the Romulans and the IC, based on the current calculation of EP. So we'll see how that goes as we go forward. But obviously, as people lose and gain resources, that fluctuates as we go up and down. The Carnivon have a bunch of ships here sort of in the vicinity of their capital. You can see they've got a light cruiser and a drone bombardment cruiser on this YDK, protecting it and also having it repair their ships. Once a base is crippled, by the way, it cannot conduct repairs because it's so damaged. Interesting little tidbit to note. As we scroll up here, we already talked about the ISC running through that November wormhole you can see right here. Actually, sorry, they went through this wormhole, not the November one, and they have a bunch of ships seemingly making their way towards the November wormhole, and we'll see what happens after that. Other than that, though, we've got 8th Fleet, 9th Fleet, 4th Fleet. Let's just take a quick look at what's in these. 8th is a tug with, it's like a battle tug, with 2 frigates over top the uniform wormhole. We've got 9th Fleet and 4th Fleet. ISC, where are you? ISC 9th Fleet, which is exploration ship with a escort destroyer. 4th Fleet is boom, 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 just a light cruiser with a diplomat, so it's obviously trying to improve attitudes over here. And as we scroll up, we've got 2 different sort of NPCs. We've got a Hydran medium planet, a Kzinti medium planet, 2 medium planets just sitting there waiting to be taken. What have the Hydrans got there? We've got Hydran, Old Colony Squadron. Let's see. Old Colony Squadron. Ooh. All right. So they've got a YDN, a Lord Commander, which is basically a command cruiser, 1.5 fighter factors with a 7.9, a Ranger, which is 2 fighter factors with a 6.7, a total of 5 Lancers, 6 Hunters, which are their frigates, and then a Scout. So very interesting to see this disposition of ships. Of course, they also have 8 planetary ground bases, 3 points each, which gives them 24, and the YDK. Interesting. This plus the planet of Furball presents quite an interesting obstacle when it comes to the ISC, or at least something they can tap into later. Other than that, you can see that they have Justice Fleet, 2nd Fleet, and a bunch of other ships here ready to potentially go through this wormhole. Let's see what Justice Fleet has with the ISC. Justice! Command Cruiser, 2 YCAs, and 6 YCLs. 2nd Fleet, on the other hand, what do they got? 2nd Fleet, YCC, 2 YCLs, and a total of 9 YDDs. So there's lots of ships in this area that can certainly make their way through the wormhole, beef up, back up, and reinforce what's already gone through. But we've already established there's like 39 ships that went through the wormhole right above my head there. And you can see all these ships sitting there. They are going to do some damage, potentially, to the Tholians. The question is, how will the Tholians respond? How will they react? And how will they rebalance their forces? And of course, let's not forget Big Red. And I say Big Red as in our Riemann friends, who, again, have not pulled the trigger on Triton and Pegasus right above my head there. But they've also got a bunch of stuff down here near the November wormhole. Probably closely watching what's going on with Brachyfleet, as Brachyfleet is rebuilding their BSM here, the Nanite Swarm, on the edge of their space. Acropolis, Athena, and Pacific Fleet. Now, these fleets are not as powerful as they once were because, well, they've been taking a beating. But Acropolis, Athena, and Pacifica fleets. So Pacifica, and we did Acropolis, we did Pacifica, and Athena. There we go. Riemann, Athena, boom. Okay, so these 3 fleets include a Dreadnought, Y-Air Dreadnought, 2, come on now, 2 plus 2. So there's 4 Y-Air cruisers, a command cruiser, a total of 12 plus 21, 33. 33 destroyers, Y-Air destroyers. We have a total of 10 plus 11. So 22 Y-Era frigates and 5 M-Era destroyers, the K4Ms. which will be helping out the Remans in attacking potentially Brachy fleet or attacking through the wormhole. It depends. We'll see. There is also Cerberus fleet here, Reman Cerberus fleet, which is not much going on here. We got 3 destroyers, 5 frigates, and then a crippled destroyer there. But they have also a tug and 3 KE2s, which are the KE2s. Those are the sort of the cheap frigates that the Remans are making, M-era frigates, and I think they're the M-era frigates, are they not? No, KE2s. Oh, sorry, they're Y-era frigates. So they're just sitting there. We'll see what ends up happening when it comes to Brachy fleet. There may be a momentary pause as they have to deal with Brachy before anything goes through November. But timeliness is going to be important when it comes to dealing with the Tholians because they will redeploy assets to be able to defend themselves. So we'll have to make sure, collectively, that the 4 powers are able to effectively and logistically support the right kind of attacks to be able to do damage and cause all sorts of issues. So we'll see what happens. There's all sorts of interesting things that could happen going forward. So lots of opportunity here. But that is essentially the map. Let's go back to the chat. All right. So what do we got here? You can't be petty. You can build bases at all 3 planets if you so choose. You can build multiple bases at each planet. So lots of options here when it comes to what you'd like to do. But what do you think so far? We've raced through all the different things that are occurring in the map so far. So as a quick recap, the Romulan assault on the Klingon Homeworld has, shall we say, motivated a redistribution of forces. As a result of this redistribution of forces, the Klingon Homeworld is heavily reinforced. Is that fair? And there is a redistribution of forces, Klingon forces, into Klingon space. As a result of that, the Balkans have been left vulnerable and open. The Tholians have taken advantage of that, and they've attacked the Klingons and have taken planets and bases. That sucks. The Tholians have engaged with the Gorn in a coordinated assault against the Klingons. This has spurred into action the 4 powers, the remaining 2 of the 4 powers, to begin various actions. I should say not the 2. Technically, the Remans haven't done squat. So the Remans haven't pulled the trigger yet, but the ISC have. So the ISC have gone through their wormhole, and there's a battle waiting to be resolved. So that's going to happen. The Carnarvon have broken through the blockade of the wormhole that covers their homeworld and have busted into Gorn space once again. The question is, with the fleet that they have in place there, will they be able to hold the line and or destroy Gorn infrastructure in the process? There's a lot of options there, and because they own the wormhole, they can build stuff and send it right through. I have a feeling that whether it's both those YDKs or just one, the Carnarvon are going to do some serious damage to the Gorn in this next turn because, remember, the Carnarvon go first. So there's a lot of interesting options there when it comes to how they can reach out, cause damage, beat up, and destroy these other factions. So, and keeping in mind that the bulk of Gorn forces are in that area, if the Carnarvon are able to tactically destroy the strategic assets in that area, meaning the YDKs to repair ships, the bulk of the ships that are there, I think that leaves the Gorn wide open to being railroaded because they will have to redistribute ships out of the Balkans to defend their home system from the Carnarvon assault. They will have to... that will leave them open to a potential Reman attack if the Remans want to come, or the Carnarvon coming in from the top there. There's lots of options. It'll be very interesting to see. When you have these wars like we're having, there's a lot of ebb and flow. You'll have a certain faction sort of surge forward and make gains. But then there's, like in real war, there are points when your resources are exhausted. The ships are damaged. You need repair. you're out of supply and various other things. We are seeing at this moment the Gorn specifically are at probably the edge of that inflection point. Will the Carnivon take advantage of it? Maybe they will, maybe they won't. If they do, what could be the outcome? I don't know. Will the Carnivon as well overextend themselves? We don't know. We'll have to see what happens. But if that balance can be managed effectively, I think the Carnivon could really swing things in their favor. And because they have initiative, there's very little the Gorn could do, today, sort of like in this turn. So we'll have to see what happens. On the Romulan front, I have to see what the sort of final map looks like. But based on what we saw here today, there's two sort of big takeaways of the area around the Klingon capital. One, if we're just thinking about the Romulans and the Klingons, there's two sort of critical things that are about to happen. One, the Klingons are potentially going to see an opportunity to be able to cause some pain on the Romulans. But at the same time, the Romulans are in a position to be able to really take some advantageous spots from the Klingons. I would say that very much we are in sort of round 6 of a 10-round fight. I guess it's 12 rounds. So we're in round 6 of 12 rounds with the Romulans and the Klingons. Both fighters are exhausted. Both fighters are just beating the snot out of each other. Apollo Creed and Rocky are just slugging it out. And it could go either way. Little things like the amoeba, the juggernauts, and a bunch of these other sort of random things could affect the outcome. In addition to that, also the impact of the Tholians and the Gorn could change things. For example, if the Tholians attack the Klingons through that wormhole, which would suck for me, and it's a coordinated attack between the Romulans and the Tholians to be able to attack me and take my space, that could be really problematic for the Klingons. The Gorn could do that, and if the Gorn do that, that could be, again, more problematic. I think the Gorn have some other problems they need to sort out. But there's a lot of flux going on there. Because we now have the ISC getting involved with the Tholians and potentially the Remans as well, sort of, they have multiple, the Remans specifically have multiple different sort of vectors or channels of attack. How are they going to do that? We'll see. But as the Gorn and the Tholians have attacked the Klingons, they're both sort of valid targets. Previously, up to now, the war between the Gorn, we'll say the Gorn portion of the fight was really focused on a little bit of Klingon, mostly Carnivon at this point, between the Gorn and the Carnivon. Romulans and Klingons, certainly. But now that the Gorn have involved themselves in the Tholian attack, game on. And so the IC have certainly come through their wormhole. There's potential and likelihood that the Remans will do the same. And then, of course, the Remans could come through the top, through the Balkans. There's all sorts of interesting options there. With the massive Mauler fleet that the Remans have, they can certainly cause some epic damage, and we'll have to see what that results in and how that sort of maps going forward. But certainly, this was the turn, and how apt, how appropriate, how ironic that it was turn 100, the execution of turn 100 that saw this milestone occur. Crazy, isn't it? And so turn 100 has come and is about to be resolved. And when turn 100's dust settles, we will be in total war. So, what do you think? What do you think about that? What do you think about the fact that this war game for 100 turns has been building to a point where all factions are going to fight each other? We've had little pockets of conflict between the Romulans and the Klingons before. And again now, we've had the Carnivons and the Klingons fight each other, now working together against the Gorn. We've had the Remans and the Lyrans fight each other. We've had the obviously the big war between the ISC, the Remans, the Carnivon, and the Hydrons. We've had all sorts of exciting things sort of back and forth going on that way. So exciting, certainly. What's going to be the result? Who knows? We've got so many exciting sort of options evolving. And now that essentially everyone is at war, what is this going to mean? I said earlier that we were in the end game for this game. We were getting close to sort of the resolution of what's going on. And I think that is certainly true. We have the Klingons and the Romulan War, I think, is reaching a point now based on how exhausted our ships are and resources are. I think we're going to reach a point very shortly here where if it hasn't started already, we're going to see a flip in the situation as the tide turns one way or the other. Either the Romulans are going to continue to encroach into former Klingon space and just push, or the Klingons are going to throw back against the Romulans and push them to their homeworld. Because we've done essentially enough damage to each other where we've seen that kind of happen. A redistribution of ships now in Klingon space has put the Klingons in a much stronger position, at least defensively. Until now, essentially, the entire thing has been the Klingons fighting with one hand behind their back because they've kept this massive fleet in the Balkans trying to check the Tholians. Understandably so, there was a good reason for it because now that we moved it out of there, what happened? They came after us. Okay, so the Tholians have done what they were going to do. We've seen the Klingons sort of reconsolidate, and now the question is, are they going to be able to push back? If we look at the fleet numbers, where we are, fleet cap. If we just look at fleet cap, we know that the difference between the Romulans and the Klingon ship count is less significant than it was before. I think the Romulans had like just shy of 100 ships, so they still have, as of right now, 78 ships in service, which is a lot. Relative at least to the Klingons, which have 103. So if you want to say that there is approximately a 25% difference in the sense that the Klingons have 25% more ships than the Romulans, okay, that's fair. But the Klingons, the big delta here, the big difference is that the Klingon total attack factor of their ships is 420. The Romulan total attack factor is 276. It's not quite 2/3, but it's let's see. Yeah, it's. I mean, there's quite a difference there, right? Like 420, quite a number. Attack factors versus the Romulan 476. I mean, it's just a little bit under. It's like 40%. There's a 40% advantage with Klingon attack factors. Now, the advantage is that the Romulans are always able to duck and get out of conflicts they don't want to fight. So if and when the Romulans or the Klingons are able to nail the Romulans down to a specific and consequential battle, those are when things are going to change. Until then, the Romulans have done a very good job of sniping Klingon ships and causing all sorts of pain in my posterior damage, which is unfortunate. Now the Romulans are in a position now where they're pretty much out of supply in most cases, and because they're out of supply, it's going to cause challenges with their ability to it's going to cause challenges with their ability to be able to facilitate different kinds of outcomes. But we'll see. I know that they're going to do certain things to try and take resources and so on, but we'll see how that goes. So yeah, I mean, the Klingons sparked this off by being warmongers and pushing, and now we're here. We're in total war. What do you think? I can see here in the chat. Let's pull that up again. Boom. All right, so we've got where we get here. Enjoying the show, give a thumbs up. Hey George, with the capital having 3 planets, okay, we talked about that. Thanks for the information. Cardavons at war exhaustion, first level at least, Gorn says. Well, so when you're thinking about war exhaustion, 2 things about war exhaustion. One, yes, of course, when you're in war exhaustion, that's a pain in the butt. It really affects your ability to spend money. But don't think it would be dangerous to think that war exhaustion is going to somehow be the thing that changes the outcome of your war. War exhaustion is an obstacle. It is not the be all and end all. So we'll have to see what happens as we move forward. But I think if we have players that are overly focused on war exhaustion, overly focused, I mean, it's obviously a factor, but if you're overly focused on war exhaustion, that may do you a disservice. But for those of you who have stayed an hour into this broadcast and are interested, thank you for staying with us at this point. War exhaustion is after 20 turns. Every turn that you're at war, you incur what's called a war turn. After 20 of those accumulate, you start going into different stages of war exhaustion. The first stage means that you are only earning 75% of your total income, as opposed to when you're at war status, you earn 100%. When you're at peace, you earn 50% of your income. So we have this sort of progressive stage. And once you get to over 30 turns of war, then you go down to 50 and then 40, and then it just continues to get worse and worse and worse. But at this point, what the Gorn player, Bill, is talking about is that if the Carnivon, if they are at war exhaustion, first level of war exhaustion, then they're only earning 75% of their total income, or at least that's what you could anticipate. So we'll see what ends up happening there, but there is definitely going to be some interesting outcomes as we go forward. Very, very interesting. Okay, well, you let me know in the comments what you think is the most consequential thing that's happened this turn. Is it going to be the ISC entering the fight? Is it going to be the fact that the Klingons have now sort of consolidated their defense? Or is it the fact that the Tholians have entered the war and have attacked the Klingons in the Balkans? Is there something that we're talking about or something that I haven't talked about that you think is a major factor in this game? You let me know in the comments below. Other than that, I think it's been a fantastic day. Looking forward to seeing you next week. Knock on wood. Be on the lookout for, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button with the alerts on so you know when the next episode goes live. That will, of course, help you in being able to stay up to date on the latest and greatest and how this war is progressing. As we move forward here, this is the end game. End game meaning that the end of this game is coming. Once this game is done, we'll be preparing to launch our next campaign. If you're interested in playing in the next campaign, then be sure to voice your interest, be involved in the chat, and of course, supporters on Ko-fi and Patreon get first dibs on being able to join into the next game. So be sure that you're a member of that group, that you're clicking, supporting, or being part of our community. You can see there that you can join our Discord community with the top tier of our Ko-fi contributions. So you can join us there, and if you do, then you can participate in the witty banter, the back and forth, and the chitter chatter that will happen after this live stream right now. So have a wonderful rest of your day. I will see you next week. Bye for now.